I figured that I better dry out the sleeping bag a little bit today. After sleeping in it for 2 nights and then having some of that snow come in on me, I'm sure that dampened up the sleeping bag just a little bit. So I might as well get on top of it now before it gets any damper. It is a down bag, so it's very important that I keep it dry. But so far it's worked well for me. This also has, this is a Canadian military cold weather sleeping bag. It has this funny looking Smurf hood thing that the bag itself does not have a hood that goes around your head that you can cinch down like a lot of bags, but you put this hood on and then you crawl into the bag. And it's actually a 2-part bag. Well, it has this fleece liner and then the down bag. This is actually the outer bag. There is an inner bag also that you would put the liner inside the inner bag and then put the inner bag inside this bag. So it's like a 2-part down bag sleeping system, and it is very warm if you take both of them. It's also very heavy. I didn't figure I'd probably need both bags, and it was also going to be just too much weight to carry all the way up here. And I didn't know if maybe gear allotment wise, I kind of felt like the flannel liner was only marginally pushing it, but if I brought that other bag, that's almost like taking 2 sleeping bags. But anyway, that's what's been keeping me warm at night. That might just come in handy for planking some of that fish later on. So I need to do a little improvement on my shelter, and I need some cordage to tie some tarps together. And due to the fact that I have a limited supply of paracord, what I'm going to do is, in the paracord, you can actually take it apart because it has these strands in there, so I can pull those out, and then I'll have, I believe it's 7 strands, 7 of these strands that are actually quite strong, and I can still use the outside of it for something. So you get 8 strands basically of cordage all in just this one piece of paracord. Well, last night after I had a bunch of snow blow in through this side of the shelter here, I decided I probably needed to put some sort of a wall on it. And I thought about just cutting down a lot of spruce boughs, basically tree parts, in order to do that. But then it occurred to me that if I was going to do that, I might as well just use this brown tarp that I brought kind of as a part of my kind of spruce bough simulation alternative. So I rigged that up there. I could have just put all sorts of greenery in here and it would have kept the snow out, but once again I'd have to cut down a lot of stuff in order to do that, a lot of live stuff, and I want to avoid that. So it's not exactly perfect, but it's a great improvement. You can see on the inside, this whole end here where that blue is, that used to be completely open, and now that I have that protection there, I still have enough of the camo tarp that I have my bed on it, so still doing okay in that department. But yeah, that should help. If any more weather blows in, that should be a big help in keeping me dry. Well, it's I've been out here basically for 2 full days, and in that time I've only eaten 1 trout. That's all I've eaten. So I don't think I've ever been this calorie starved in my life. 2 days, 1 trout. Wow. But anyway, today I've allotted myself 1 of these pemmican bars and another trout. So I think what I'm going to do is eat half of this pemmican bar now, and then later I will boil up the next trout. I really was hoping to find a decent alternative to boiling it, because that boiling the trout in the pot definitely fishies up that pot for quite a long time, to where when you melt water or melt snow for water, you can taste it quite well. But I've looked around quite a bit to see what resources I have, and I still think that probably boiling is probably the best way to go, so I think that's what I'll do. But anyway, here goes some pemmican bar eating. These things don't really look like much. Kind of looks like a fossilized brownie. This is the carob cocoa flavor. And overall, it's probably my least favorite. But I have to admit, right now it tastes pretty good. Altogether, this thing has 440 calories in it when you eat the whole thing. So they have quite a bit of, they're quite calorie dense. You must save the rest for later. I don't think I've ever had one of this flavor ever tastes this good to me. Well, this is my view from inside my shelter. The trees out back that way. I do have some extra stuff in here, like the trekking poles. I only use those on the hike in. I haven't done anything with them since. The little Lucy light and hybrid light. I'm only using those if I do any filming after dark, because this camera doesn't have a night vision feature. A tripod there, fire. I don't know how long my arm can take this before it gets too tired, but I'm just lounging back in my shelter. This has been an interesting experience. This is now definitely, this is the longest I've ever been out on some sort of outdoor adventure alone. This has definitely been an interesting experience so far. And really unlike any other that I've had outdoors. Because out here I'm just living for a certain amount of time. It's not that I just came up to this lake, this area around this lake just to just to see it, visit it or whatever. I just came up here to be here for a while. And a lot of the you just kind of, I don't know if I want to call it a routine, but you just have certain things that you do, and you have to cut firewood, and if your fire goes out, you have to go look for a tinder that you can light with a ferro rod, and hopefully I'll not have to do that again if I can help it. Get water, melt snow over and over again. And you're just here. You're just being. Is all you're really doing. You're just living. And it's kind of boring, to be honest. It's not really easy to do. I mean, I'm in a beautiful area. Every once in a while I can step back and really allow myself to really enjoy the beauty of the nature that I'm in. Listen to the birds. Up here, the only thing that I hear are just the sounds of nature and the occasional aircraft. That's it. I hear no other man-made sounds at all. And that's interesting. Yeah, doing this sort of thing, going out for a certain amount of time with limited equipment and just existing really it's an interesting experience, to say the least. It's not really an easy one. There's a certain uneasiness that kind of underlies everything. I think it's mostly the uneasiness of having to get myself out of here. You know, making sure that I am physically, I guess, able to get myself out of here. You know, for instance, on like the TV show Alone, when somebody gives up and taps out, all they have to do is make a phone call or press a button, and they come get them. They come pick them up. I have to walk out of here with a heavy pack. I guess it really comes down to it. If for whatever reason I couldn't carry that pack, I could always just hike out myself with the truck keys and get myself out. I'm sure of that, no doubt about it. But anyway, there's just a certain uneasiness that I don't know. I don't think it's just that whole hike out thing. I don't know. Just an uneasiness. And I've been thinking a lot of my wife back at home. She's at work today. I'm not really sure what time of the afternoon it is. She might be back home or not. But I know that she worries about me, and I don't want her to worry about me. I don't want to worry her. I think that she supported my plans to come out and do this. I think that she's proud of me that I decided to come out and do this. But it doesn't help her not worry at all. And kind of what's become a goal for me is to spend my time out here, complete this challenge that I set for myself, and then on Thursday, hike out of here, and then call her up or text her and let her know that I'm back out, I'm back in civilization, I'm safe and sound. I mean, that's kind of my goal. It's kind of what I'm shooting for. It's I hiked in on Sunday. Yesterday was Monday. Today's Tuesday. Tomorrow's Wednesday, and then after that comes Thursday, and that's the day I hike out. So after today, I still have another day of just being out here, and then I hike out. I guess one thing to look forward to is from here on out, I will be eating more and more towards when I walk out. Today I'm going to eat a pemmican bar and a fish, whereas yesterday I only ate one fish. Then tomorrow I'll have 2 fish and 2 pemmican bars. So hopefully that'll put me in good shape to make the hike out of here. But anyway, it's probably not surprising that one of the things that I've thought about that this experience has kind of shown me is that, it makes me miss being able to spend time with my wife. And even if it's just nothing more than just hanging out at home, the kind of stuff we do all the time, it's, there's, that is something, and it is important. And I'm so glad that she's in my life. There was a time about 10 years ago where I went out on a little backpacking trip to climb some mountains up in the northern part of Colorado, and on that trip I hiked out. I hiked into where I camped, Next day, I climbed some mountains, spent the night at that camp again, and then I hiked out that next day. So I was out there one full day where I didn't do any hiking in or out. And I remember during that trip, I just felt, at least I remember that evening sitting in my campsite, I just had this really lonely feeling. I would say I was almost so lonely I ached. Something in me did. And at that point in time in my life, it was just a lonely time for me. I was living out in northeastern Colorado for school stuff and for the year. And I just lived by myself, and I didn't have any friends in that town. I had some friends, along the Front Range in Colorado. But I was far away from my family. I had nobody. And it was a lonelier time in general. And I still remember that evening how lonely I felt out there. I was surrounded by just a beautiful alpine world, but it just, being alone in it got to me after a while. And this time I don't really feel that same type of loneliness. I feel an appreciation. I mean, I do feel lonely to a certain extent, but I feel an appreciation really for my wife and the fact that, usually I'm not lonely and alone because I have her. And it's just kind of just giving me this purpose, I guess, just to get, to complete my challenge and to get on out of here and get back to her. But anyway, those are just some of my thoughts. Well, it is Tuesday afternoon, and I have to say, something happened that I knew coming into this might have been a possibility, but with all the snow around here and as messy as it was for me to get in here, I started really doubting that it would. But a group of 3 hunters came up to the lake here, and they were out elk hunting. They're from Tennessee. I talked with a couple of them because they came over to me, and I didn't want to hide for more than one reason, but I didn't want to think I'm up here doing weird stuff or anything like that. But had some good little chat with them. The dad, I think it was a father, a son, and a friend of the son. And the dad, I guess he lived out in Colorado back in his college days, and they decided to come out for an elk hunt. But anyway, it was, not that I was really wanting to have somebody come by and talk with them, because that does kind of break the total solitude thing. But it happened. I knew it could happen, and I actually, it probably goes without much of a surprise. It is probably not much of a surprise, but I actually enjoyed having somebody to talk to for just a little bit. And then after a little while, another one, either the son or the friend, came over and chatted just a bit over by my camp here, and I showed him some of the stuff I built and everything, and kind of told him a little bit what I was up to. Hopefully they don't think I'm completely nuts, because I did tell them about my food situation, which it's now, what, afternoon and day 3, and so far I've only eaten 1 fish and half of a pemmican bar. Of course, I still have a fish and the other half of the pemmican bar to go today, and then tomorrow comes the day where I eat like a king. But anyway, it was nice talking to somebody. They've moved back on down, so I'm back alone here. But just gonna let everybody know that I did talk to somebody, and I enjoyed it. I almost pondered the idea of giving them my wife Alicia's cell phone number and asking them to send her a text when they got down to where they would get cell coverage and just let her know that I'm up here and I'm doing just fine. But that's all right. I'll be doing that on Thursday. So anyway, yeah, this afternoon was kind of eventful. It's really weird. I went from not very long ago feeling a lot like I was just bored and, just passing the time out here was almost kind of difficult in a way, or at least looking at the fact that I'd have to pass a certain amount of time before I was done. It just seemed like a chore, really. And oddly enough, this afternoon as I'm sitting here, I almost think I just felt a little twinge of kind of sadness that I only have one more day out here. One more full day before I pack things up and head out. It's kind of weird. And I guess I wouldn't be surprised at all if it had to do with just talking to somebody. I don't know. That may have made all the difference in that regard. And not that I planned that. But I wasn't going to do anything stupid to, like hide from people or anything weird like that. Because if anything, it's just going to make them think weird stuff, which they don't need to think. And it was, it's just nice to be friendly, and that's what humans need, I guess. Even introverts got to talk to somebody. But I would say as an introvert, it's nicer that it was, three guys coming up and not some big old group. Well, whatever. I'm probably going to cut this out anyway. But anyway, just going to pass the afternoon, the evening. I'm going to eat some food, and I have another day tomorrow. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do tomorrow on Wednesday, because I'm not sure I'm really going to have to do a whole lot of wood cutting. I have quite a bit of firewood cut. I'll show you that. Firewood, more firewood. I even have some firewood kind of holding my tarp down, which I could burn if I really need to. So anyway, I have the firewood. I have a good deal of firewood cut. I've improved the shelter. Man, I don't really know. Can't really think of any tasks that stand out that I'm going to have to do. Might have to cut a little bit more wood, but other than that, it should be a pretty lazy day of sitting around and eating and thinking and doing some video. But anyway, that's enough for now. Well, it's snowing snow pellets again in the evening. Brought some firewood under my underneath my shelter to keep it dry. I was hoping to keep some sort of a fire going all night, so I would at least have some coals in the morning, but if this keeps up like this, I don't know if that's going to happen. Earlier this afternoon, I gathered up a little dry tinder, so I guess if I have to light a fire from scratch again, at least I have something that's dry. But it doesn't really sound like my idea of fun. But I don't know. Maybe this will let up. And I have lots of wood. I can keep stoking this fire for quite a while tonight. But fun times up at the high elevations in the mountains.